How's it going, everyone? We're gonna get started with the live stream. I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing well. All right. So if you guys can see the screen, we're just gonna go break down today's price action and what I'm gonna be expecting for today, things of that nature. Let's fix something. All right. All right. So what we're seeing right now on the chart, we're looking at ES specifically, right? And so we're going to be looking at what I'm expecting for price to do right now. So right now we see that we are coming off these levels here from yesterday, right? We did have this drop, and these levels are new weekly opening gaps. What they are is Friday's close and Sunday's open, right? So this chart here specifically contains new weekly opening gaps, okay? With all these different levels. Now, what's occurring here is that I'm seeing that there's equal highs, right? This high and this high are equal, right? Meaning that there's liquidity above these levels. What happened was we had news drop, right? So let's see, if you go on Forex Factory, right? There was a news event, I'm pretty sure, that just dropped. Yeah, so the unemployment claims, and if I go here, apply the filter. Okay, so for USD, because we're looking at the US dollar, there's unemployment claims that dropped, causing the market to rally. Okay, so tomorrow we also have non-farm payroll and unemployment rates, so that's going to be very high impact as well. But for the morning session, what I'm expecting is that we run into the equal highs on ES on 40.0325. That's going to be my short-term target on ES. Okay. So I'm expecting these highs to get ran. We grab sell side liquidity down here below these equal lows. We're bouncing off these levels, fair value gaps here, for a potential push higher in towards 40.07, not only 40.0325, but also 40.07 and 40.10 levels, which the levels are looking at. Okay. So let's moving on, right? Another scenario here is that after we take out this level, we push up in towards this zone up here. We could see a potential rejection for the downside again, right? It all really varies on what the market wants to do at that point. But what I'm seeing for now is, we're gonna keep pushing in towards these equal highs and potentially this 40.07 area, right? What I'd like to see on market open, I'd like to see a drop in towards these highs over here, right? Potentially either this high here, right? Either I'm looking for a rejection off this high or these highs here, right? These would be the levels I'm looking for a rejection off of for a continuation higher, okay? And from this low to this high, this area is the 50% retracement, so I'm looking to potentially long anywhere down here for a push into up here, 4006, 4007 area, okay? Going over just SPY alone by itself, we don't really have any morning opening gap. It's just chilling here. So again, it's all going sideways still. And again, I'm expecting for price to push into the 400 region once again. Looking at Tesla, right? If we're looking at it here, on Tesla, we're seeing that here on the, wow, what a drop on Tesla, that's crazy. So we've had this pullback here on Tesla before the continuation on the drop here. We retest this 200 level, right? After we broke out. So we had this retest of this level, this area, and 200 level gave up again, and we've been having a dump ever since, right? Tuesday, price dropped fairly aggressively. We're seeing that here, price, kept pulling back into the opening gap. Broke it and just continued to the downside for the most part. Right now here, we're at this neutral zone, right, where it can consolidate. As you guys can see here, it's consolidating on the 5-minute time frame. Right. Excuse me. Right, we've had this rejection here, so now this basing, so this could be a drop, base drop, right, and can push, if the market's bearish and the market's dumping, right, we can see the push all the way down here, right, into 160 regions, right, so that wouldn't be out of the question. You can definitely see that drop here in towards these levels, so I definitely keep an eye out on Tesla, right, it's going to be a huge mover, especially coming off this consolidation area, right. So it's going to bring a lot of volatility in here. So if it breaks and retests it and holds it, you can see some downside for Tesla here. So moving on, let's go through Apple. Same thing here. Apple basically did fill the gap for the downside. As you guys could see, we had this gap play, right? That price basically filled and is going sideways now, right? So it's consolidating sideways. So we're just going to mark that consolidation zone here, right? So the pivot points for, it's going to be these levels, right? The pivot point for Apple. It's going to be above 153.50 or below 152 for a bigger move, and you want it to fully close in this 152 region and reject it if you want it to push to 151 area. Right. These would be your pivot points, and for the upside move, you're looking for potentially just the range of this consolidation is going to be the range of the breakout. Right, so I'm expecting this full push into this 155 level. Can you guys hear me well? Is the audio well? Right? Can you guys see me well? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, so for Apple, I'm expecting if you continue higher on ES, we'll see that push higher on Apple as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. A couple other stocks I want to watch are Amazon. So for Amazon here, okay, well, that's good. So Amazon, we're seeing that we are getting this potential breakout coming, right, on Amazon. And The main important part is that I know this downtrend line is breaking, but it needs to push above this high here to be valid, right? So it needs to push above this 94.16 level for the break to be valid. So have that marked on your chart. And then this is going to be, these are going to be your pivot points that I'm about to mark out right now. So this middle zone right there and these upper zones are going to be important, right? And also this lower zone here, okay, right? And if you break out of that, we can see a nice clean push into potentially these highs over here, right? Same thing, if you break out of this area, we're gonna see that push higher, okay? But for right now, it looks like a potential just simple pullback, right? You know, we had this high get ran through. These highs here, price pushed above those highs, right? We see how, you know, price had this entire pullback here in towards this region and just now had this run above these equal highs here, right? That means, you know, it was an aggressive move for the upside. So that could be a potential structure shift to the upside, and this is simply just a pullback, right? And from this low to this high, right? If we draw our fib retracement, this 50% retracement is our equilibrium area where price can bounce off of into the golden zone up here. But this needs to be confirmed by this high getting taken out, right? So if 94.17 gets taken out on the 15-minute time frame, right? So if price closes above that level, if I can move my what? Oh my. I can move this around. That's not the problem. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see better? All right. Can you see the time frame better? Everyone can see this better? Cool. Okay. So yeah, so we're on the 15. A lot of my charting is done on the intraday time frame. Will be so first I start on the 1 hour scale, right, and I move down to my intraday time frames. So for the most part, this is majority of this is done through the intraday time scale with the daily and 4 hour bias. So we're seeing here SPY-ES is still pushing, right? Again, I want to see that drop in towards this zone. But we'll come back to that in just a second. We covered Apple, we covered Amazon. Any ticker suggestions in the chat? If you guys have any ticker suggestions, I'll be more than happy to go through them. Okay, let's go over. I have an options list here that we can go over. The main things I trade are gonna be ES, Tesla, and Apple. That's about it. Coin, Meta. Okay, let's go over Meta. So we have Meta here just gapping up every single day. We came out of that little consolidation zone here. That's 1 minute. Let me go on the higher time frame. Excuse me. So we have yeah, Meta's just bouncing here right now. What we're seeing are we're between two large pivot points right up there, right? So that high of 190.31 and these lows down here. So specifically, right, we can see that we have our zones here, right? The price is breaking out of, right? And it's going to be this level that's going to be a pivot point, right? So we're bouncing off this, we're breaking above this level, and if we retest it and hold it, then you can most likely look for your next pivot point to be tapped into, right? If you do give this level up though, if you give up this 85.50 level and that 86 level and we decide to drop, right, we can see these lows potentially being target. Right, this low here, 183, right? So that's what I'm gonna be. That's how I'll approach Meta if I were you. I don't trade Meta, but that's how I would approach it. Seeing how price reacts to these pivot points. Because if you end up breaking, that level and then this 186.14 is gonna be your last resistance. If that breaks, we could see a push into that 187 level. Towards this region. Okay. Hopefully that helps. But if you run these lows here, that's a different story as well. So it really comes down to how the 15-minute candles are reacting to these levels. Okay, so just keep in mind. Coin. Let's go over coin. Okay, with coin, what we're seeing is that there's this little pattern here that's forming, right? Not necessarily that I trade patterns, but it's just something to take note of. So here we see that it's still maintaining trend here, and so this is what I'm seeing on coin so far, and you can play the ranges. That's one thing you can play the ranges here, right? And in this area, so you have obviously your main level here. Okay. So you have these two large, main pivot points, and you have your consolidation region right here. Okay. So price is going between this zone, right? And we can, even mark out here, right? I mean, you can have that little consolidation box and wait for that breakout. But we can, even simplify it down to these two main pivot points here. Okay. So you have your two main pivot points here as well, along with your lower time frame pivot points. Right below 61, 67, it could break down lower into 60 level, things of that nature, right? And you have your This is gonna be your, right? This area is gonna be your next pivot point. Because look, it's gapping down. It gapped down 2 points basically, right? Or $1.20. It gapped down $1.20, and it's gonna leave a gap, right? It's gonna be an opening gap. So it might either retrace and fill it and reject in this zone, or continue break this level before pushing lower, then bouncing up. So there's different scenarios. Or it can just drop into that gap, create that gap, fill the gap, and continue pushing higher after breaking this zone. So that's what I'm saying. These should be your main pivot points if you're watching coin, in my opinion at least. I don't really trade these stocks, so I don't know their personality, but just based on just reading price action, that's what it looks like. Tesla, okay, we already went over Tesla, but I'll go over it again. So again, Tesla here, we've been having this drop here after this, again, huge consolidation area, so I think we'll even get a bigger move coming out of this. But we're in this consolidation zone, and basically, I think if you break below 180.01, we'll see some downside, right? If you break that, or just give up, if you break 180, we'll see more downside here. If you break it on the 15-minute time scale, we'll see some downside into. So what I like to do to set targets is I look at the range of this consolidation, and I like to make that my target. So I think if you break 180, right, we can see like 178, 176, 177 area, right? 176, 177 area would make the most sense. So you could clone this. Right? That could be our target, right? For Tesla. And same with upside, right? If it ends up, bouncing off this zone, so these are your pivot points here. If you end up bouncing off that bottom level, if you bounce off 180 and you approach 183.27, you can play the rejection of that. Or, so just to make this look cleaner, how I would go about it is simply this. Right, and you can play the push into maybe like this area up here. Okay? If it breaks the upside, you can do the same technique, right, to the upside here. And it would match right with this. Okay? So that's how I would go about Tesla. 180 is going to be your main pivot point. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed. I'm going to be doing this every single day now. Make sure you guys leave a like as well. I'd appreciate that. PayPal. Okay, let's go over PayPal. Just 1 second. Here we see PayPal. Okay, so it's gapping up in towards your upper region here. Right, and you're coming off this consolidation, and it's gapped up all the way up here. So this is going to be your main pivot point, right? It might reject this area and drop, right? So I have this zone ready. Right, that could be a rejection zone up there. then you can see it maybe a pullback into like 77 or these 76.21 area, but it seems like it wants to continue. On the breakout of 77.79, 77.80, you can see like potentially these highs being in play. Right, you can see a push in towards those upper regions. That's how we go about PayPal. Microsoft. Okay, so with Microsoft, what we're seeing here, if you go to the 4-hour time frame or something like that, we're seeing that, huge downtrend line slowly breaking out. More importantly, what we see here is, we have that push here, taking out all these lower highs. So that'd be our shift in structure. And, we had this entire candle consolidation with a whole bunch of inside bars breaking out, right? With our pivot points up there and here, right? But since we broke out, right, above this, so I want to see if price can retest it, because it's going to leave a gap from here till 255. It's going to leave a gap if it opens at 255.31. It's going to leave a gap, and then if it retests that area and it fills the gap and decides to bounce, then you'd see a push into, for example, 256, right, 44. What may happen is, it holds the gap and it pushes off, just right off that level, right? So it can continue higher from there. Right? So it can just leave the gap open, just leave the gap unfilled, and it can continue pushing higher into 256 or even these highs up here, right? So it really just comes down to what price wants to do off open, right? If we just continue pushing aggressively, we can see 258 if the market's really bullish like that. But for now, yeah, it looks like it's in bullish structure, so unless it works its way back into this area and decides to drop down, I really wouldn't touch it until I see something clear. But as long as these upper levels hold, we can see a push higher on Microsoft. Anything else, guys? Anything else you guys want me to go over? Okay. So that should conclude I'm pretty sure that should conclude the live stream for today. We've discussed a lot. We went over the stocks in the future market. What I'm going to do is call it here and get prepped for market open with my, with Champs Trading. If you guys want to join the Discord, if you're not from the Discord, I have the link in the description if you guys want to go check that out. But I'm going to go on the Discord to prep now for the live stream, for the live trading session we're going to be doing today. So that's it from me today, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed and learned something new, and make sure you guys like and subscribe. And I'll be doing this every single day at around 8:30, right? So appreciate everyone for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.